I think it's safe to say that the majority of us can benefit from having a little bit more money saved, especially when we're on a budget. When I was first getting into minimalism and frugal living, most of the advice I came across revolved only around practical steps, which works, but what I really needed was to change the kind of person I was when I had money in my pocket. Did I want to be someone who spent whatever money I had in my hand, or did I want to be someone who made small sacrifices today for a possibly better tomorrow? So today I won't be talking about investing, credit cards, or even exact numbers, but behaviors that can be applied today that have actually saved me money, especially on a tight budget. But first, if you're new to my channel, thank you for stopping by. Here we talk about minimalism, frugal living, tech, and things of that nature. So if that sounds good to you and you end up liking the video, be sure to like and please put a slice of salami on the subscribe button's face so they get a zit right before prom. Let's get started. Delay gratification and maintain a waiting period. This was one of my favorite ways to not be a spontaneous spender, while at the same time giving me a little bit of discipline to not just buy something when I think I want it. A regular practice for me now is to leave something in my wish list or shopping cart for an extended period before I make the decision. I heard someone say that the excitement of actually buying something comes moments before it happens. So in a way, the itch of purchasing is being scratched without me actually having to spend. I've talked about the 30-day rule in the past, where I wait a 30-day period before I decide to purchase something to consider if it's truly a want or a need, and this is similar to that. Whether you decide to give yourself a week-long or a month-long waiting period, this is the perfect time to figure out what you actually need, what you can afford, what you have room for, as well as do a little bit of research on the thing itself. Also, a little bit of a life hack. Sometimes if I keep something in my cart for long enough, I'll get an email with a discount code for that thing. Avoiding triggers. And for those of us like myself who lack willpower, this is especially important. I made a conscious effort to avoid activities that specifically trigger my spending. A prime example is the Chipotle app that used to be on my phone. It was so easy and fast to place an order. And of course, as soon as I see a picture of a burrito on the app, it's pretty much a done deal. So it's been deleted off my phone for quite a while now. Creating a little bit of friction to make spending more difficult or uncomfortable was key, because it's the job of these apps, these sites, and stores to make buying things convenient and fun. I suggest avoiding the areas of life that seem to trigger spending the most. So log out of Amazon and delete the Starbucks app. Maintaining what I have. When it comes to things that I own, and especially the things that I use every single day, I am not as careful as I should be. An embarrassing thing I used to do was replace something before even giving a shot at fixing it. I gave you guys the story a couple videos ago about how my Hydro Flask is pretty disgusting, but I'm not giving up in trying to make it useful again. I think what actually almost made this fun for me was to challenge myself to see how much use I can actually get out of something that I have before it's completely useless. I've had this North Face backpack for several years now, and if you go back a couple of years in my videos, you can see it was in much better condition. This backpack was like $50 at the beginning of 2021. It gets used legitimately every single day, and it's holding up great. Mind you, I do wipe it down when it gets dirty, and I've had to stitch a pocket on the inside. After learning about Wabi Sabi from another YouTuber here, I also learned to appreciate imperfections and the journey an item takes with me. Where a tear or a stain used to bother me, I just see it as part of the ownership now, because it is. Regularly cleaning out and updating my electronics, thoroughly cleaning out everything else that I own greatly extends the life, thus saving me money. Find cheaper alternatives. I've definitely learned that there's almost always a more affordable version of something. A while ago, I talked about how I now engage in free activities rather than exclusively associating having fun with spending money. Going to the park and going to the beach are completely free. However, this point goes much further than just activities. I don't think I mentioned this in my desk setup video, but my monitor was bought open box at Best Buy for a massive discount. My point here, shop around a little bit and shop secondhand. buying store brand at the grocery store, and seeing if I could borrow something that I know I'll only need to use once, and taking advantage of free resources like libraries are just a few ways I've been able to find cheaper alternatives. I think the key takeaway here is that with a little bit more effort rather than doing what was most convenient has saved me money over time. Living within my means. Something so simple, but something I also often need to be reminded of is to just live within my means. I'm not a person who can really afford to go out to eat every single day or own a Model 3 Tesla right now if I want to get where I want to be financially. And that sounds very obvious when it's said, but I've experienced lifestyle inflation every single time I started to earn more money. And for me, there's two main parts to living within my means, and that's to understand my income and set limits. Understanding what kind of lifestyle my income allows me and how I have to distribute that income in order to reach financial goals I set for myself. Not all of us can afford to live like Mr. Beast. And it's important to recognize that when I have a new version of something dangled right in front of my face. By the way, Mr. Beast, please put me in a challenge. I promise I won't lose. Be mindful of spending. I think for me, mindful spending was always overcomplicated and overthought. So to sum it up in just a few words, it just means to be more conscious and more aware of where my money's going after it actually comes in. And it wasn't really a switch I just had to flip and I was more mindful. But it was making a conscious effort to pay attention to every single purchase and planning more carefully. And to determine where I was completely fine spending money and where I wasn't. And this obviously changes from person to person. I want to be intentional in every part of my life with the things that I own, do, and spend on. Look what I have and be grateful. I want to end this list with possibly the most overlooked way to save money, and that's just to practice a little bit of gratitude. If I look away from all the things I'm tempted to spend money on and just look at what I have, it's pretty easy to be grateful. And this is very important to remember when there are new things that I like that are released and make my things seem outdated. There have been several laptops that came out since mine came out a few years ago. But if I forget about those for a second and just look at what I have, I still have a sleek, working, and capable computer. There's always going to be newer and better versions of something, especially technology. So this will result in a constant cycle of spending where I'll never be satisfied with what I have and I'll always be behind. Stop looking for the next upgrade. Look at what you have without comparing it to the new thing, and I promise you might see it with a little bit more joy. I hope a few things that I talked about today can help you the way they've been helping me. Habits work best when they're built on top of each other, rather than cherry picking a few of the easy ones. And that's important for me to remember as well. Anyways, as always, I really appreciate the time you spent here and I appreciate you watching. If you did like this video and you like this type of content, be sure to like and consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you next time.